Shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakadash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers out there pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, I just want to do a quick lesson, very brief, on this article here, which is entitled Cash Now Extinct as Citizens Use Implanted Microchips Instead. But before I get into this article, I'm just going to play this video by the other brother Rakhar from the GMS Camp London, whose channel is GMS Fear the Most High 7GA. And Lord willing, this be edified. I'm just going to play a few clips. I already shared a post. If you have not seen the post, simply type in his channel, and you go to his channel. You type in right here, and and his videos. No, actually, it's my channel, Salakia. All right. So, you see all these videos that he has on the MOTB. All right. Now, with that being said, let's just get that.
Right, Shalom. Tariffs, you can order from Temu. So what's this guy talking about? It doesn't mean you can't buy or sell. Tariffs isn't the mark.
To put tariffs on Mexico. What are we reading? The Bible. Read on.
What the hell is this guy talking about, man?
I buy or sell, save he had the mark.
Save he that had what?
Save he that had the mark.
The mark, meaning what? You have to be in agreement with who? America. Now, Daniel chapter 8.
All right, so they're just all over the place. Now, what we're saying makes sense. We're saying that Esau's going to bring in a new financial system that's going to be based on a digital network, and you're not going to be able to buy or sell or take part in the services of the system unless you have that MOTB with Mark of the Beast, RFID, that's going to have your identification on there, your biometrics, and your financial details. Which makes more sense. But anyway, it's all good because this is what it comes down to. We're just here to warn the people. And really those who claim they believe. Because if you don't believe, it don't matter anyway. Whether you take the chip or not, you're still going to be destroyed. If you claim to believe, we're here to give you the full truth. All right? We got to declare the full truth to you so that you can withstand in the day of evil. And the truth is that the MOTB is the implantable RFID chip. Now, if you don't believe and you choose to take the chip, then you're going to have to face the consequences. But what you can't say is that you weren't told the truth. And that's why we got to be out here making manifest the knowledge of the Most High in every place. And coming up against this type of foolishness. Because these men have said the MOTB is sin. Then they're saying it's an embargo. Then they're saying it's a tariff. They're saying it's to do with nations and trade. It's not to do with the individual. So then, why are you even preaching about it then? How does it affect the individual if it's really on nations? Because if America put a tariff on the UK, and so the UK got to take the mark in order to sell in America, what's that got to do with me? I don't export to America.
Gone, because that doctrine spins the narrative that those in the higher ups make the decision concerning salvation for every individual person, which is definitely not true. If the MOTB is tariffs and embargoes, well, then that's made by those the government officials, those in high power, which means that your salvation, whether Yahushua will come and deliver you from the fires, right, the ICBMs, or even from all the perils of the world, whether you are deemed worthy enough for salvation, it's dependent upon what Donald Trump does in office, which is absolute madness. That's why the scripture says, let every man work his own salvation with fear and trembling. Your salvation has to be a personal thing. No one should make that decision for you. So so it's not clear enough, the MOTB is not an embargo, it's not tariffs. And these men are all over the place. And even in the video that the elder made, it's even how do you say? They even add on to it and say it's sin. Well, which is it? Is it an embargo and tariffs, or is it sin? Because these two things don't add up, you know. And so that's just what it is. The MOTB is what's known as the RFID chip. I'm just gonna risk it and say it and be as clear as possible, right? The radio frequency identity chip. And just like you summarized at the very end of that video, let me play one more time.
All right, so they're just all over the place. Now, what we're saying makes sense. We're saying that Esau's going to bring in a new financial system that's going to be based on a digital network, and you're not going to be able to buy or sell or take part in the services of the system unless you have that MOTB with Mark of the Beast, RFID, that's going to have your identification on there, your biometrics, and your financial details. Which makes more sense.
So he summarized it perfectly. And now let's go into an article that hints at the future that we're going to be living in, because this system that Esau has created, which will require every man to receive a chip in their right hand or in their heads, is it's already set up, right? There are people out there that already have the chip, but the main point here is the mandating. And a lot of people are soon going to find out that whether you are a righteous person, whether you are wicked, whether you are, the Esau doesn't give a damn what your morals are. He really doesn't give a damn. As long as you fit into his society, as long as you embrace whatever it is that he's bringing you, he doesn't really care about your morality. There are so many things, so many roads that can lead a man away from the Most High. There's only one true path, which is Yahushai. As long as you ain't on that path, Esau really doesn't care where you are. And so the idea that Esau is going to be forcing people to sin to receive it is wrong, is off. All right? This is the MOTB. He's going to set up a financial system, which is already set up. He's going to mandate people to partake in this new financial system by receiving a chip in their hand or in their foreheads. So let's get into the article. It says the financial authorities who once embraced the trend are asking banks to stop peddling notes and coins until the government can figure out what's going on, what going cash-free means for young and old consumers. The central bank, which predicts cash may fade from Sweden, is testing a digital currency, an e-krona, to keep firm control of money supply. This is it right now, to keep control of money supply. Controlling people's resources, their assets, you can control their very lives, because people have become greedy. People serve mammoth, it's like if I'm pronouncing it wrong, people serve mammoth rather than serving the Most High. So if you can control the physical things, the lust of the world, you can control your very soul. And this is what Esau wants. He wants the control that the Most High have over people, all right? And even I think even the Most High, gave us this warning when he brought us out of Egypt into the wilderness. He said, I made you to wander out into the desert, and let me see right now. I withheld food from you. I starved you. I didn't give you food or water, to the intent that you may know that man does not live by bread alone. Let me see if I can get it right now. 8:3. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 3. Verse 1. It says, all the commandments which I command you this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which the Lord Yahweh swear unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord Yahweh thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, and to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandment or no. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord Yahweh does man live. And Esau wants this power, because he has set it in his heart to be like the Most High. And so when he seeks control, he already controls most of the he has a lot of money, okay? Esau has the riches, is what has given him power. But he wants to extend his power from the physical world onto the souls of men. He wants to equate himself to the Most High by controlling men the same way the Most High might control men, by withholding sustenance from their physical flesh, as we just read from the book of Deuteronomy 8th chapter. So a time will come where when this is mandated and people consent to it, there is nothing that the government cannot force you to not do, right? They can, if you're doing protest out there, let's say another war breaks out and Amalek is going off, and you want to go and protest Amalek. Well, guess what? They have complete control. They have a firm control over the money supply, and they can coerce you into bending to their will, right? So, but at that point, when you get if you are foolish enough to get the chip in you, it don't matter. You might as well just toss out all morality, because there is no righteous stance left, right, to be made in, like, for the sake of righteousness. Once you take that chip, you have severed yourself from the love of Yahweh Bashim Yashai. And if you're an Israelite temporarily, right, on this side, until you taste of the fires and you become resurrected in the kingdom of heaven. It says lawmakers are exploring the fate of online payment and bank account if an electrical grid fails or servers are thwarted by power failures, hackers, or even war. And this is something that they are particularly vulnerable to. And when they solve that problem, you best believe they will make that mandatory. It says when you are where we are, it will be wrong to sit back with our arms crossed doing nothing and then just take note of the fact that cash has disappeared, said Stefan Ives, governor of Sweden's central bank known as Riksbank. You can't turn back time, but you have to find a way to deal with change, and they're gonna adapt. It says, well, they're acting like this change is happening without their control, but they know damn well that they brought this change into existence. All right, they knew what they were doing when they set up debit cards and credit cards, and Apple Pay and PayPal and Zelle, making everything contactless and on the web, on the network. It says, ask most people in Sweden how often they pay with cash, and the answer is almost never. A fifth of Swedes in a country of 10 million people do not use automated teller machines anymore. More than 4,000 Swedes have implanted microchips in their hands, allowing them to pay for rail travels and food, or enter keyless offices with a wave, restaurants, buses, parking lots, and even pay toilets depend on clicks rather than cash. Consumer groups say that the shift leaves many retirees. A third of all Swedes are 55 or older, as well as some immigrants and people with disabilities at a disadvantage. They cannot easily gain access to electronic means for some goods and transactions. They rely on banks and their customer service, and the progress towards a cashless society will upend the state's centuries-old role as a sovereign guarantor. If cash disappears, commercial banks would wield greater control. All right. It says we need to pause and think whether this is good or bad, and not just sit back and let it happen, said Matt Dillon, the head of Swedish Parliament Committee studying the matter. If cash disappears, that would be a big change with major implications for society and the economy, right? It says urban consumers, and these guys out there that are doing their research and making suggestions, the decision is already made, right? And the decision is above their pay grade. They can come out and make comments as much as they want. It ain't going to affect the goddamn thing, all right? Because the supreme, right, ruler which is Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, has decreed this thing to come to pass. It says urban consumers worldwide are increasingly paying with apps and plastic. In China and in other Asian countries are rife with student smartphone users. Mobile payments are a routine. In Europe, about 1 in 5 people say they rarely carry money. In Belgium, Denmark, and Norway, debit and credit card use has hit record highs. But Sweden, and particularly its young people, it's at the vanguard. Bills and coins represent just 1% of the economy, compared with 10% in Europe and 8% in the United States. You get that? 1%, right, to 10%. Let's just say 10% represents the economy, right? And 10% represents the economy in Esau's kingdom, all right, in Esau's countries. It's about 1 in 10 consumers paid for something in cash this year, down from 40% in 2010. Most merchants in Sweden still accept notes and coins, but their ranks are thinning. All right. It says among 18 to 24-year-olds, the numbers are starting. Up to 95% of their purchases are with debit or a smart app called Swish, a payment system set up by Sweden's biggest banks. The central bank has plans to roll out a pilot version new year of a new type of Riksbank's money, the digital krona, right? Or e-krona that could replace physical cash or at least help calm the current cash conundrum. The e-krona would mean that the functions of a currency backed by the state would remain even in all digital worlds that is fast approaching. Christine Lagarde, managing director of the International Monetary Fund, noted last week that several central banks were seriously considering digital currency. Let me read this again, right? And let me just bring it out here. Christine Lagarde, managing director of the International Monetary Fund, right, noted last week that the several central banks were seriously considering digital currency. Let's just let that sink in for a second. All right, then shall you know who my prophets are. Let me just, matter of fact, Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 8, it says, When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, thou shalt surely die. If thou dost not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at thine hand. And we don't want that. So we will tell you whether you believe it or not. Whether you want to laugh or take it seriously, it's up to you. We've done our part. We have cleared ourselves from any blame, and we have warned the people. All right. Just nevertheless, if thou warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he does not turn away from his way, and this particularly is very, very serious because this isn't a wickedness that you can turn away from. Once you make that act, you are condemned. All right. It says, nevertheless, if thou warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he does not turn from his way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Therefore, thou son of man, speak unto the house of Israel. Thus ye speak, saying, If your transgressions and our sins be upon us, and we pine away in them, how should we then live? Now I want to get to the main point right here. Verse 33. It says, And when this cometh to pass, and lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet has been among them. So with that, I'm going to end it right there. Shalom, Yahweh, Bashim, Ashai, to all your Akims and Aquas that are listening in truth and sincerity. Peace and blessing be to the elect, the brothers that are out there laboring in His truth and warning and doing the works of Yahweh, Bashim, Ashai, and spreading the truth and the gospel of Yahweh Shai to the folkness of the world. May the blessing of blessing be upon our house. And may the Most High deliver us and keep us however way possible, that we can keep our nerves and be unrelenting in the hours or in the hour of temptation. Let the Most High strengthen us and give us the spirit, the nerves of steel, to overcome any deceit, anything that is enticing, any fear that this devil can throw at us, that we may meet Yahweh Shai in the marriage. Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Shabrakatha.